All right, you guys, welcome to my mini coffee talk this Saturday. So good to see you all and everybody on the replay. It is Saturn in Aries, starting May 24th, late night at 11:36 p.m. Eastern, 8:36 p.m. Pacific. I'm Eric Taylor. We're going to go through the big threes real quick and we're going to have fun. I'm going to break it down. This chart is a Sag rising, and then we'll go actually counterclockwise to Capricorn and end off with Scorpio rising because I want to break it down for all 12 signs. So, welcome to Astrological Coffee Talk with Eric. We're breaking down Saturn and Aries Transit starting May 24th at 11:36 p.m. Eastern, 8:36 p.m. Pacific. This will be for all 12 signs. This is the chart, though, for this energy on the West Coast. And we see with the Sag rising, the chart ruler Jupiter in the 7th house, and we are focused on this. It is a Gemini sun, it's Gemini season, trining the Pluto, but it is a Taurus moon. But we're focused on the Saturn in Aries, and this is when it enters. I had to check the times. At 35, it was still in the Pisces. At 36, it jumped right in. So it is definitely exact. And Saturn in Aries. So let's break down, what is Saturn? Saturn is the government, the authorities. Sometimes can be the father, sometimes the grandfather or grandmother or grandparent. It's discipline, structure, organizations. It can be rules, rewards, regulations, fear, limits, delays, anxiety. Saturn is your hard work. And with Saturn, you get the big blessings. It's known as the Great Malefic, right? You get the big rewards and blessings when you respond to your abilities. People don't know this, but Saturn actually wants to give you more blessings than Jupiter or Venus. Most people don't teach you this, but with Saturn, once you respond to the abilities and you place the structures, discipline, and organization in effect, it's the karmic teacher, right? Saturn will give you rewards. So we live in a Saturnian matrix bubble, so you gotta honor Saturn. Now, of course, other people use it for the cubes, a lot of marketing and logos, and secret societies use it for a lot of negative things, but Saturn is the planet of delays and restrictions. It won't block it, but it will restrict it and delay it. For an example, I have Saturn in the 7th house. I got married at age 37, quite literal. If I was God or president, I tell you guys all the time, I would say no one should get married to at least 29 when you get to the Saturn return. And then, that first Saturn square is when you have the opportunity to really integrate the lessons that you learned. But whether you're going through the first, second, or third Saturn return, you still want to make sure you're applying the rules and the regulations, discipline, structure, and responding to your abilities in Saturn, because if not, Saturn will kick your butt. It does not play, believe me. So, in this case, for the Sag rising and just the chart in general, Saturn being at 0 degrees conjunct Neptune, the benefits. This can actually, even though it's in its planetary fall, what can this do? It can bring some structure and organization to Aries to think before you react, to slow down before you just go head first. Remember, the ram is visually impaired, probably worse than me, and it learns itself by spatial awareness, so it rams head first into things, right? A lot of times with, astrology, besides Libra, and then you've got the Aquarius, Virgo, and Gemini humans, all the other signs are animals, and you can learn a lot from them, right? The twins, you can learn a lot about a Gemini, the Virgo, the virgin of the weed and the medicine, and the Aquarian, the old man pouring out the wisdom and knowledge, but it's the same thing with all the animals. So Aries, you guys, is, Saturn is also time itself, known as Father Time, okay? It's law and order, right? It's exalted in Libra, at home in Capricorn and Aquarius, so it's in its planetary fall in Aries, not a death sentence. Real quick, Aries, right? The first sign, the pioneer maverick, the childhood genius, 0 to 7. It's assertive, aggressive, it initiates. It's a cardinal fire sign. So its premise is to move quick. Aries and Gemini are the fastest signs in the zodiac, and it cannot behave like it wants to in Saturn. That's why it's in its fall. So the karmic lessons with this placement, and with this chart, and we'll also be keying in because it is Sagittarius rising, there could be some restrictions with your children, your creativity. If you're at that age, high school, college years, you're dating, romance, and fun sex. This is an energy at this time with Saturn conjunct Neptune. And mind you, we see Venus and Chiron here and Ceres, the goddess of harvest. So always remember, this is going to still link us to food. So when you see Saturn and Neptune and Ceres, how you want to be nurtured and cared for, how you nurture and care for others, your food and your fashion, this does speak to some of the effects we may have from, yay or nay, I'm not getting into the politics, but from the tariffs in terms of Saturn Neptune does get into international markets, trade, things around the oceans, right? Neptune is nebulous, confusion, but it's the seven seas, the oceans. And this is where there may be some effects or new restrictions around trade, goods, shipping, and potentially Aries, Saturn. This can also talk about military, hopefully not any wars, but there could be some issues with that. All right. A lot of things around shipping, though. Okay. One thing you have to bring in when I was talking about the Ceres, there is going to be this energy about spiritual discipline at this time. Okay. And this can be around our food or water. Obviously, this is right before, well, towards the end of spring, right? Gemini, remember, mutable, a little bit of spring, then a little bit of summer. But this is also speaking to we need to increase drinking our water to cool our body down. Aries is ruled by Mars. So you also want to look at the ruler, right, of this Saturn Aries. Mars is in Leo, right? It's outside of the Cancer now, right? That just happened yesterday. Thank goodness, because
Oh my God, yeah.
it's
Holy hell.
it's been really
Jeez.
tough for everyone, right?
Oh my, I think except for the cancers.
Well, I can tell you it physically affected my body. The ninth house rules hips and thighs, and I actually had like a rash or something on my hip or thigh that came out of nowhere. And I only logical thing was Mars Cancer ninth house, and it was very literal. But I'll tell you, with Mars and Leo, the ruler of the Saturn, with Aries, Mars being in Leo, it does soften the energy of it being in its planetary fall. But with the conjunction to Neptune, you guys, there is going to be a bit of an extra challenge. And when you have these conjunctions, remember, you got the trines and sextiles that are mostly positive. The oppositions and squares are challenging, but opportunities to learn and grow. Okay? The conjunction is neither positive or negative. It's about the smushing and the merging of the planets telling the story. So when you're dealing with Aries and Neptune and Aries and Saturn, neither one is necessarily favorable, but I think because it's in its planetary fall, Saturn will win out. So what does that mean? This could, for Sag risings, literally restrict some of the creativity. This may say that there could be some limits and delays to our compassion and empathy, even sometimes the spiritual practice, but how do you turn it into the positive in terms of what could be a struggle? You're going to have to increase your spiritual practice. You're
Just
going,
start saying affirmations constantly. Anytime something negative happens, just say an affirmation, just keep repeating it. Find like five.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
really what's helped me get through it. Seriously, like I've had some
You're
rough
you're
days.
exactly right. And one thing I will tell you with Saturn and Aries, we have to be careful of the arthritis, the migraine headaches, things like that. So I recommend also you guys, you drink the warm water, especially for you ladies. Cold water is not good for you pre-menopause, menopause, or post. Okay, so just get the cold water out of your situation. It's never going to benefit you, no matter what the age, but at least once you hit probably 35 plus, say goodbye to the ice cold water. Okay,
What
but
about in the summertime? Because I have been getting better with the warm water. I'm serious with the warm water. But
you know,
like, and
it
sometimes
doesn't matter. I would just do
it
room temperature
doesn't.
water, not cold water, room temperature
Okay.
water. Okay, I mean, I have asked
I
every
have been
health.
dying of thirst every day. Like I can't get enough water lately.
No, it's because you're not eating enough fruit. But I've asked
Oh,
every
I'm not eating any fruit, Eric. None.
Hey, well, you got to eat fruit. Fruit is the H3O, and it's how we properly get hydrated. But I've asked any practitioner from Chinese, traditional Chinese medicine to, Joseph Octaviani, the Life the Plant Way, all the different people I've had on my show, and they will tell you that, the best you can do is room temperature water compared to warm or hot, no cold. Okay. Now, another thing for Sag risings, having the chart ruler in the seventh house at this time, there can be some benefits in the contracts, the negotiations, things like that. I won't get as much detail for each ascendant, but this is just the overall chart. And so that's why I'm going to get a little bit more specific. But just in general, as we go through each sign, remember the sun at 4 degrees trining Pluto, there's opportunities with our information to kind of heal and transform. And I think it's going to be the challenge, right? Air and fire signs, they are not introspective. Masculine, not male, masculine energies, air and fire, meaning outgoing, assertive, initiating. Saturn and Aries says, no, pause before you initiate. The Pluto Sun trine is talking about how through our words, through our journaling, that we can transmute out the pain, trauma, and crises from past lives and childhood. That's the work you have to do with Pluto. Remember, Pluto in Aquarius, you guys, is here to reveal the secrets, the shadows of what? Science, technology, FEMA, nonprofits, Red Cross, artificial intelligence, crypto. It's going to, the dark web, right? Technology in general, humanitarian acts. You will see where they've been lying to us about what they are doing for the collective. And you want to, oh, donate your money to this. No, do not fall for that. We've done it for too long, right? You're going to see with Pluto Aquarius to 2044, I promise you, especially when Uranus, that's why you want to come May 10th, when Uranus gets into Gemini, adios, mijo, Lucy. So many advances in technology, but so much information. You think that Trump and Elon came in hot with all this chaos and craziness, and that's intentional, just so you know. But when Uranus hits Gemini on 7-7, the information overload this summer from July to August, all the way to the equinox, it is going to be intense. So be prepared and unplug and unmute as much as possible. Avoid the noise and chaos. But Saturn, Neptune, look what it's opposing, the Libra midheaven. So what happens is that the Libra midheaven is very collaborative. It's about establishing business partnerships, relationships for your work and career, and trying to have some harmony, peace, charm, a little bit of balance. Saturn and Aries, it's like you've got to learn the lesson that it's not a one-man show. It's not a one-woman show, that we cannot be islands to ourselves, right? And I think even the opposition to the midheaven and the conjunction to Neptune are letting you know that with our spiritual discipline, our willingness to find our tribe, whether it's online like here or in your local communities or family and friends, that is what's going to serve us through this transit. This is going to November. So this is the snapshot of this energy that will play out to November. Even Mars and Leo, you've got to be brave and courageous. Hopefully you guys have been signed up and you received my latest newsletter. I did a nice little breakdown of the Mars Leo energy. And it's activating, right? Being brave from your heart chakra. Right now, until at least to the 26th, maybe the 27th, we're going to be dealing with this Mars opposite Pluto energy. Keep your head on a swivel and really understand that this is very bombastic, explosive energy. So whether you have anything in your chart natally in Leo or Aquarius or not, that's what the transit is. So it can affect us greatly, because Mars opposite Pluto is literally explosions. It can be tough rhetoric, tough talk. It can be some military actions, right? There's a lot going on with things being shipped over to Taiwan, meetings with America and Iran, right? Maybe pulling out of the whole Russia-Ukraine stuff, trying to get ceasefires there, trying to get another ceasefire in Israel-Palestine. The world is in chaos, but this is what they want. So what do we all need to do? We have to raise our vibration and frequency and the intention. This Sun trine Pluto energy is for you to have the positive self-talk. That's how we heal and transform. We can't play into their creating the problem and then wanting to harvest, right, and loose our energy from the fear. Do you know when you guys play into the game of the fear or, oh, look over here, right? Like the foolishness of the day where you had, I'm not talking bad about them, but basically the six women, they didn't go anywhere, okay? That whole Jeff Bezos thing, even on the stream, right? You can see that they opened the door and then they quickly closed it. Then he comes over with some tool like he's pretending to open it. It's foolishness. Okay, so I want you guys to just ignore their games and their idiotic behaviors, because it is to take your energy and also to laugh in your face. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
please be mindful of that, right?
They sure are too.
Yeah, and whether it's the regular media and for a lot of times social media, we have to be mindful and we have to have discernment, right? Not every rabbit hole is good to go down, okay? Because everything still you're dealing with truth on top of lie and truth on top of lie. So what you have to become, and I've been mentioning this just like before the election, I was saying become the president and leader of your own lives. You have to become your own media. Check in with your Lilith. Check in with your Pluto. Check in with your Chiron, your third eye. Does this feel real to you? Does this feel like the truth to you? Yay or nay? You've got the answers. Okay? So don't look outwardly. You are the expert. And that's what I want you guys to really get and understand. So Sag risings, there could be some things with the children, but with your creativity, and my recommendation for Sag risings, do creative things with the children. Have structure and discipline. Have a schedule and a plan, especially your high schoolers, okay? But also with your creativity, right? Time blocking, right? I have time blocking things in my programs, in my Astro Life Transformational program. We have got to really understand that there are specific ways and tools to have success in life. Now, no one person has it right or perfect because we're all different, and you also want to look at your own individual chart, right? But we know positive affirmations. We know now with scientific studies, CEOs are saying, hey, you should have at least 30 minutes of joy and play, activating that heart chakra each day, right? You should have some sort of time blocking or a schedule and a plan. That's honoring Saturn, but it's just logic and common sense, you guys, right? And so Saturn is also asking us, we have to have healthy boundaries. So that means if it's time for you to have some fun and play, then you have to tell your kids, well, guess what? Mommy has an hour meeting and you're taking a class, on Zoom, learning about embroidering or learning astrology and this and that. Guess what? Your kids have to respect that. Period. Okay? It's not bad parenting, it's good parenting. To have boundaries, to teach your children no means no. Okay? Discipline is love, and we've gotten very soft in our society and culture where we've forgotten it. And I'm not just talking to you guys here, I'm talking to the collective, and I'm talking to Eric and Alana with my kids, right? Discipline is love. And I'm not talking about hitting and spanking.
Oh, y'all be quiet. Y'all are great parents. Be quiet.
No, yeah,
Sorry.
that's
Just
not no, but listen, we work very hard at it,
I
but
know you do. I know.
you have got to have discipline. Sag moon is like do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Capricorn moons, we're like, hey, nobody's killing each other. Well, then dad's got to get back to work. I'm a workaholic. I can't help it. So I just want to
Yeah.
wrap up. I want to wrap up Sag rising and go to Capricorn. And I'll say this for you guys in the collective, just in general with this chart, and we'll still go through it as I go through each rising sign. Um, and I do need to
I have a sad question though, real
wait.
fast.
Hold on, Elizabeth. Hold on. Stop for a second.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
I'm gonna have to check in with Harold to see if he's in the waiting room. But
Uh,
to wrap up for Sag rising and just in general with this energy, please remember we're also dealing with at this time the Lilith and Juno retrograde, right? That's in Scorpio. So that's letting you know to really trust your root chakra, not just for relationships, but even for the self-love and your spiritual discernment. We've got the Mercury conjunct Uranus, right, and the Taurus moon. So that lets you know, right, that we have got to connect in nature, but focus on our values and self-worth. And our downloads that can come in nature can be things to help us to activate our throat chakra, because this is the time to live and speak in truth, right? I want you guys to really think that this is important to kind of be the high vibrational. Authenticity is number one. Love, the gratitude, and joy. Those are the four highest frequencies. When you've got Mercury conjunct Uranus, Uranus is the highest octave of Mercury. It is letting you know that you can literally get downloads that can help you financially, that can help you to be more practical and pragmatic, that can help you to increase your values and your self-worth and really open up the throat chakra. So the weather will be warm pretty much everywhere on May 24th. So I would definitely spend some time in nature. Now, right, it's multicultural, international, but it is the teacher, preacher, and professor. So share your wisdom and knowledge, right? What house is your Sag in? The Saturn Sag?
It's in first house.
Yeah, that's right. This is your chart, Sag rising. So, it's really about how am I showing up to share my wisdom, beliefs, and philosophies, right? And seeking and speaking the truth. Scorpio and Sag in the chart, you guys, are both about truth. Scorpio wants to investigate it, right?
Hold on,
Research.
Eric. I'm sorry. I think we need somebody to go on mute because I could barely.
I'm sorry, that's me.
Okay,
Okay.
so
Sorry about that.
that's okay. But let's try to, but I would say that Scorpio and Sag are both about truth. Sagittarius wants to seek it and gain the wisdom and knowledge and then teach it and preach it. Scorpio wants to investigate it, research it, and then alchemize it, right? And emotionally connect to it. But those are the two signs that really care about the truth. And then also definitely Virgo.
Okay.
Gemini doesn't care about the truth the way Virgo does, because Virgo's
Virgos are assholes that way. They're very true. Sorry.
Okay, all right, Elizabeth, you got.
I thought I was muted.
Okay, you
How
got
about mute me?
you got to chill out a little bit. Calm it down, girl. I know you're excited. You haven't been here in a couple of weeks, but
I haven't. I thought I was muted.
Okay,
Let me go back to mute.
okay, stop. Virgo is very much about the truth as well, but it's analyzing and processing it and wanting to get to the right answer. That's why Virgos are the best personal assistants, right? Because they only want to fix things to make it better. I'm not saying they're perfect. No, that we leave that for God, source, creator. But there's that purity in it in terms of its service. But so Saturn and Sag, that's the way to go. So we're going to wrap up Sagittarius rising. Any questions though in general with this energy? There's not any major trines because the Mars in Leo is out of it. The Venus and Chiron, there is about healing relationships. So just remember in that sense, at this time with Saturn entering Aries, this is where we've got to realize, you guys, we can't do it alone. Okay? We've got to really think about, who's our team? Who's your person? You hear that, oh, who's my person? And it doesn't have to be a wife, a husband, boyfriend, girlfriend. It could be an old friend. It could be a cousin, an aunt, but someone that can help you through tough times, or someone that you can reach out to. Hey, it could be your favorite Virgo astrologer, but you've got to have someone, right, to reach out to bounce things off of, and to understand that you are not alone, right? Thank you, Michael Jackson. But that you can and you need to find a squad or a team to help you to initiate. Saturn, Aries, you got to slow down. Also, remember I was saying the cooling foods, more cucumbers, blueberries, the fruits, because not the cool water, but the cooling foods, Saturn and Aries can be arthritis and migraine headaches. So sometimes massaging the temples, the back of the neck, right? It's Gemini season, so we can always be high stress and anxiety. Things move fast in the Gemini season. You should always look at the rising signs. That's why I'm doing it based on the rising signs, because then
Right.
the energy of Saturn, Aries, Sag, is in their fifth house. Now we're going to
Okay.
Capricorn. It's in the fourth house. So for Capricorn risings, you're dealing with this in your home, your emotional mind, hometown, homeland, right? The middle school years. But this is the people coming in your home. When you're dealing with Saturn and Neptune, Capricorn risings, you have to watch out for flooding. You're going to have to focus on your spiritual discipline. And this is where you may experience a lot of repairs. You can have people in your family joining or, being a part of the military. This is going to be interesting transit for Capricorn risings because there's going to be a lot of discipline that you will place upon yourself or your mother, depending on your age. Still, even, when we're grown, if our mom's alive, she's still always mom. Saturn, Neptune, for Cap risings, there'll be a lot of discipline around mom. And if they're at a certain age, this is where we may need to have mom move in with us, move in with mom, or mom may need to go to a home, right? I don't recommend that. I kept my mother at home with me because those places, facilities, you guys all know, they don't treat our loved ones properly at all. I don't care how much it costs, how
Mm-mm.
fancy it is. They never pay their workers and their staff. So just be mindful of that, Capricorn risings. But remember, if you're a Cap rising, right, you're dealing with the Cancer in the seventh house. That means the Gemini sun is in the sixth, trining the Pluto. So there's going to be a lot of things, Capricorn rising, about your speech and how you're earning money. And so at this time, think about our emotions. I would say with the Neptune and Saturn Cap risings, it's going to be important for you to probably get the water feature and to increase your spiritual discipline and practice, right? And don't overreact in the home. Do not like, oh God, I've got to get new windows, and you're like, blah, 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 blah. No, no, no. Get a couple of bids, right? See, slow down, right? Just because something popped up in your cell phone or you just go click and order on Amazon, right? We got to stop that. Saturn in Aries is wanting you to put things through the rinse cycle, right? Remember, Aries does rule the head. So you've got to kind of slow down. But also, this is nothing to fear, right? Because Saturn can bring in restrictions, fears, anxiety, and stress, just because something is a little restricted or delayed, it's also telling you, guess what? You got to push through. Aries, like Capricorn and the cardinal signs, Aries, they can be workaholics too. But with Aries, they don't think of it as cardinal fire. They don't always follow through. They initiate everything, but they don't always follow through. But I had an Aries father, workaholic, 4 a.m., boom, out the house. Like, so Aries work extremely hard. And remember, Aries, Taurus, Cancer are like three of the most pure signs, and Leo, right? Like they call them in Vedic Sattvic signs. They're very pure. So Aries, it may run you over, but it's just because it's trying to get to where it's going. It's not meaning to hurt anyone, right? Now, if you start something with the Aries, they will finish it. But
Hmm.
Aries is not going to start anything. They're very pure. They're just doing what they're doing. They didn't mean to step on your toe, but like, hey, the light was green. I got to get there, right? Oh, I got to go to the store. You know what I mean? They could be speed demons in the car. But nobody drives faster in a car, you guys, than Taurus, just so you know, Taurus, Sun, Moon, Rising. And specifically, you'll know if you have Taurus in the third, fifth, sixth, or 10th, right? Those are the places for, like, if you're driving high school, college, your fifth house. You're driving local community, third house. You're driving to work, sixth house, your daily routine, bank, grocery store, 10th house, driving to work. You have Taurus in any of those houses, slow down. Okay. So to finish up Capricorn risings, the one thing I will say, let's not forget about this Pisces North Node still being here. We're still on the health axis. So this is the time with Pluto and Aquarius, Pisces North Node to July 2026, Virgo South Node. We've got to focus on our health, right? You hear all these different things. Oh, this may be coming out and this and that. It doesn't matter. You have got to take care of your health and be proactive. Don't react, be proactive, right? Do that now. Increase your fruits and veggies, right? Have the oregano oil, black seed oil, right? Have the different herbs in the house, right? Just always be in that mindset that my health is a daily practice. It's not just when I get sick. You have the Chinese herbs. You can prevent getting sick, right? Building up the immune system. All right. So Capricorn risings, the one thing that I would also recommend is that, having, let's see, the Mars and Leo in the eighth house, this is where you're going to be really investigating the esoteric and occult knowledge. And there can be some things where there can be some emergencies and sudden events. It's kind of, let me see the degree. The Mars is kind of in trine to the Venus. So that is really good for relationships at this time. But I would just say, in general, for whatever house you have it in, right? This for Sag is education. For Capricorn, we're dealing with the eighth and fourth, right? Venus trine Leo. So, this is also where we can look at things for real estate. Mars is property and land, right? So this may be getting ready, like, oh, I want to rent, my summer home. I want to go on a vacation, rent a house in Hawaii for a month. I need to manifest that, by the way. I've never been to Hawaii, and this is the summer where I'd like to go. But, so those are things to just keep in mind. Now, Aquarius rising, right? That means the Aries is going to be in your third house. Saturn in the third house, Aquarius risings, you already got the Pluto there, so you're going to go through a lot of transformations. But with Saturn, Neptune, sorry, just checking for Harold. Let me just chime in real quick. But with Aquarius risings, there needs to be, and let me just hold off on that. No, okay, I guess he's not making it live. That's all right. For Aquarius risings, Aquarius, you've got to really understand, or I should say, understand, the third house is about your skills, but this is your social media. So any Aquarius risings are into social media, Saturn conjunct Neptune, it's about spiritual discipline. This is the time where you need to bring out your inner guru and shaman and be slow, maybe even slow how you're talking, right? Aries talks fast, social media, blah, blah, blah. Third house, communications. Check your writing, check your discipline. But with Saturn, Neptune conjunction, you guys, and this is going to be for any house, we have got to increase our spiritual practice. And we've got to understand that our creativity can be amplified when we respond to our abilities and be the pioneer maverick. Put in discipline, put in structures, be organized. If you're going to set up a canvas and you want to do painting or even hand painting and this stuff, a collage with your kids, have, little stations, right? Here's this, here we're doing that, right? Especially Sag risings, fifth house children, but third house is children, right? Elementary school years for Aquarius risings. So, have the little things, just like, we used to do in school, right? This is the glue, this is the felt, this is the gems and crystals we're putting on the thing, we're making the thing, right? Think about that. Saturn, Neptune, because Neptune is not just our creativity, imagination, and spirituality. Neptune, right? It gets into the poetry, the art, the dance. It's illusion, delusion, deception, confusion. So Saturn conjunct Neptune, there could literally be, like I told you about the trade and the tariffs, but there could be a lot of deception from the government. Okay? Talking about, oh, we're going to protect Taiwan, but we're blowing up some things that, that affect, China or this and that, So we have to think about it. And remember, Sag rising, where we started, that's America's chart. Okay? Now in the Placidus, right, America's chart has Saturn, Neptune, Aries, fourth house, and the whole sign it's in the fifth. Now, so it's your preference, but I think it's going to be more of a fifth house thing. And that's why also you will see continued talks about, education, right? They're chopping that up, right? The board, not the Board of Ed, the federal education and stuff, right? And some people say, hey, that could be a good thing or a bad thing, right? You have to make sure you've got all the things in place for IEPs and disabled children and stuff, 504 plans and all this stuff. But there's definitely been a lot of wasted spending, and they probably need to eliminate all these standard tests because the teachers teach to it and the kids are not learning. Okay, the fact that kids don't learn cursive in school anymore is absurd. The fact that children still get taught Christopher Columbus discovered America is absurd. We have got to become adults, stop the lies, right? And that's the problem. What's happening is that, the current president, and I'm not trying to get political, but there's attacks on truth and history. So we have got to also, right? Third house, Aquarius risings, get your books, right? We have to write history. Google's making changes. You guys look at Brave and DuckDuckGo, okay? A lot of things on Google is changing. And I don't want you guys to be head in the clouds or, naive to think like, oh, they wouldn't do what? When have they showed you what they wouldn't do? This is the thing that, like, for me personally, I can get upset and irritated with friends and family because it's like we seem to remember so many weird things, but we forget when they apologize for their lies and deception to us. Like we just disregard it and be like, oh, well, they would never do that to us. Wait, they just admitted that they did that 3 years ago when they were poisoning this and putting this in your water and chemicals here and toxins here. You can't ship our goods and our food to any other country. They won't take it because of the poisons and toxins that our government puts in it. I hope you guys know that, right? I mean, this is like not a game, it's real. So we just have to remember in Aquarius risings, this is going to be about your own skills, self-efforts, and your children in elementary school, okay? But you've got that trine to the fifth house with the sun and Pluto. So there's a lot of things to do with your day trading, your crypto, right? There's a lot of things to do. I mean, shoot, you got Jupiter still there. Aquarius risings, I don't encourage gambling, but if you go to a casino or want to do a lottery scratch off, Jupiter in the fifth house until June 8th, have at it, Aquarius risings. This is your time, what Eminem say, you got one shot, so go for it. So Pisces risings, we're dealing with the second house. So for Pisces risings, don't know if we have anybody here with the Pisces rising today. I don't think we did, but I will tell you, the second house, this is going to be about earning your money and your speech. So usually, I just got to keep it real. Pisces risings, as sweet and pure and spiritual as they are, they got some tough talk. Okay, I know my mom, she was a Pisces rising. She had Mercury there in Aries, so like my mom was a very talented cursor, okay? But Pisces risings with Saturn, Neptune in your second house, Neptune can have the money come in and out quickly. The Saturn there is wanting you to become extremely disciplined about your self-worth, values, and your intuition. Neptune is going to enhance it. This transit is going to be very powerful in terms of discipline within your family structure if you're an adult and you have children, but also think about earning money. This is where Pisces risings, maybe you're like, hey, they're firing all these people, but maybe I can get a local government job. Pisces risings, this is where you also can, if you slow down and you're organized, you can have great orator experiences being this spiritual philosopher and showing you the discipline. Neptune, Saturn, Venus, and Chiron, your speech can be very healing and motivating at this time. Okay, so these are things to think about because, we're not just dealing with the Saturn Neptune. I mean, that's the focus, but with Ceres there. Oh, Pisces risings, go have it, grow a garden. Capricorn risings, work on your garden. Okay, these can be very important things at this time. Of course, remember, don't forget Capricorn risings. I told you about the water feature. Pisces risings, you are going to want to increase your water and definitely the fruits and veggies because when you have a fire sign in the second house, and as I tell you, I never tell my clients what to eat, but the second house and the sixth house deal with food and your health and hygiene, right? And your digestion and what goes down the throat chakra. So with Neptune there increasing the water, but the fire sign wants the solar food. That's the fruits and veggies. Now, if you're going to eat meat, I would say medium to well done. I wouldn't recommend the raw food. You say, well, Eric, the Neptune's there, conjunct the Saturn. Can I get my sushi? Can I get the da-da-da-da? Yeah, but if you've seen my podcast and listen, it really hurts me, right? Because I told you, like, I kind of went through vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, right? Now I've reintroduced a little bit of meat, not too much because it creates mucus, but the parasites are big in the fish. That's why wolves eat the fish heads. There's no parasites in the fish heads. I'm not about to eat a fish head. I'm not a wolf. Okay, so, but I don't eat sushi. It made me sick. But I have what? Sagittarius in the second house. So, but fire signs, you want to get the solar food. Pisces risings, Aries second house, fruits and veggies. So, Aries risings, we got a couple of you here today. You know, this is going to be fascinating, right? Because you're having the trine from for the Aries risings, the third to the seventh house of the Pluto and the Sun. That's going to be really good for your skills and relationships, okay? And so really be in the flow, and there's opportunities through your communications and your words to, heal things. Remember the third house, you guys, also the adult relationship with our mother. So Aries risings, there's opportunities to, heal wounding with mom, with maybe even mother-in-law, although that's in the eighth house. But, even with your younger siblings, cousins, okay? But with Saturn, Neptune on the ascendant and Venus, the prescription is going to be self-love and to slow down. Aries risings, you're the most authentic rising sign, right? And two of the most rare are Aries and Pisces. But with the Aries rising, when you have Saturn on your ascendant, it is really demanding the discipline. Now, with the Neptune there and that conjunction, you may feel a little unrealistic and idealistic. Saturn's coming in to say, listen, stop that. That's not going to serve you. It's not time to have this unrealistic dream that's not achievable. Saturn is like, slow down, put in the hard work. And the Venus is like saying, as you're doing that, focus on the self-love. When Venus is on the ascendant, you've got to have the self-love. Watch the sweet tooth. Okay, I can tell you, I got Venus on the ascendant in my natal chart. Just give me one, because if you leave the box in here and you come back, it's going to be gone. Okay, when you have Venus on the ascendant or the 12th house, you can overindulge on the sweets, especially the chocolate. Okay, so with the Chiron there too, and Saturn and Neptune, your spiritual practice, right, for your Aries risings, it can really get you to a place where you are healing not just your inner child, but all the childhood and past life wounding. So this is really a great opportunity for Aries risings to kind of just like, let me just take a break. Let me slow down. And let me, put in a little spiritual discipline. Remember, we've got these great tools of technology where you could do guided meditations. There's so many apps, right? And if some of you guys can't sit still, that's okay. Do the guided meditation. Do it when you're going for a walk, right? Even when I had Natalie Marconi on, right? She was talking about with her people, she likes to do like imagination and jungle walk and tribe and all this stuff, right? So, if anybody needs movement, that's, really, I can work with the Libra seventh house other half, and it will benefit me. I don't have to do it alone. But if I come, with a family project or a project at work, and I have been organized and structured first, then, it's going to be more successful, right? Oh, and Chantel and anybody else, you know what? Because I'm doing this, I can't check for raising hands. So just say, hey, Eric, excuse me for a second or whatever. So just ask your questions, okay? Just so you guys know. Remember, we're going to go to Taurus rising now. But Aries, that's really, what's on the menu for you. And Saturn on the ascendant, you can also be too tough on yourself at this time. So please don't get into that. Remember, I always tell you guys, my greatest hope, retire from negative self-talk, especially for this transit, Aries risings. Venus is there. Focus on the self-worth and self-love. No negative talk about yourself. Okay, you deserve better. And remember, you don't even want to gossip, you guys. Remember, I tell you, the subconscious mind is listening, right? If I talk bad about Michael or Jennifer, right, my brain thinks I'm talking about Eric. Okay, so Taurus rising. So, Taurus rising, you have the Saturn, Neptune, Venus, Chiron line up in your 12th house. So, I think we do have a Taurus rising here today, if I remember. And,
Yep,
that,
that's me.
yeah, Saturn in the 12th house with Neptune. This is where I want you to have that good spiritual hygiene for your dreams, right? And doing the dream book, right? We've never done a chart reading, Gail, but Aries rising, Taurus risings, you tend to fall asleep rather quickly. But I want you to initiate a healthy spiritual practice before you go to bed. The Aries crystal should be in the bed, one under the pillow, one maybe next to the hip or thigh. But Saturn, the karmic teacher, and Neptune, this is like, hey, before you go to bed, set the intention, Taurus risings, that you know what, my soul is going to travel, right? We leave these physical avatar meat suits, and our soul is not tired. The body's tired. Gail's soul and Taurus rising, your soul, right? It's like going to Uranus, Jupiter, fifth, sixth, seventh dimension. So you can say, I want my soul to travel out of my heart, third eye, or crown chakra. If it goes out of the lower chakras, that's how we have bad dreams and nightmares. I want it to go out of my heart, third eye, or crown chakra. And I want my body to be restored and healed. And when I awaken in the morning, I want to have all the knowledge and information that I need for the day. Okay, that's one thing you can do. You can say, I want to connect with my ancestors, my spirit guides, my guardian angels, right? Whatever it is. But with Saturn, Neptune in the 12th house, you guys, and the Venus Chiron, you may start to feel a little extra. Oh my God, I can't hear about another innocent child being killed in Palestine and the Gaza Strip and Ukraine. Like it can become very intense, and you may even feel the pain and the cries of these children and the mothers that are losing their innocent lives. Okay, so really just that's where you're going to see the spiritual connection, the empathy, the compassion is going to, probably really increase. So another thing is what you're working on in the bedroom, you need to bring it up and share it out with the chart. So, you can be making a painting, you could be making astrology jewelry, you could be, practicing a song. Taurus risings, you could be, making a recipe book because you're probably good cooks. Whatever it is, you want to put in the hard work, but then share it. We can't keep, and this is for all of you guys and all rising signs, but right now we're focusing on Taurus because this is your 12th house. We cannot keep what we create in our subconscious, unconscious, or in the spiritual realm, in our dreams, or in literally our bedrooms. We can't keep it hidden and in secret and private anymore. We got to bring it out. Whatever we have in our 12th house, you guys, and at this time it's Saturn conjunct Neptune, Venus and Chiron and Ceres. Oh, and by the way, with Ceres and Venus, please, no eating in the bedroom, Gail, or any Taurus risings, okay? That's not going to be good. You're going to feel bloated. You're going to eat the wrong thing. It's just a recipe that, but definitely self-love and self-care, right? Spiritual mantras in the bedroom, stretching, anything, all right? Saturn, and I wonder, like, because Taurus risings, you're very connected to the sense and the smells of things. So definitely, we'll talk about it with the Gemini risings, right? They should always spend their money on their bedroom game for their sleep, linen sheets, cotton, organic cotton, stuff like that. But even at this time, maybe a little lavender on the pillow or whatever scent you like, because literally you could get headaches when you're going to bed. And you have to burn off that Saturn Aries energy during the day to be able to sleep well. But usually Taurus risings are so busy during the day, they like crash when they go to sleep. They're like, I'm asleep. Like my wife,
Pretty much.
yeah, like Taurus risings, they fall asleep in like less than 47 seconds. Like they're like out, okay? Because they've been running all day. So that's another thing too. Um, be mindful. This is for everybody on here. We're all pretty much grown adults. You should at least remember Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, the best days to work out. And if you want to add 2 extra days, Wednesday, Sunday. Monday, Friday, don't work out. It's the day of the moon and Venus. That's a day for introspection, pleasure, enjoyment, right? Journaling, hanging out with friends. Like it's not a day to work out and be like, oh, look, I gotta lift weights. And no, don't do it. Monday, Friday, no. It's counterproductive. When you work with the days of the week, you work with the planetary energies, this is to make your life easier. That's my goal and hope for the collective and for all you guys, especially here. So please remember that, Taurus risings, that even in the bedroom, you could do Saturday, Sunday, today, some little squats. That was where my train of thought was going to, right? Saturn is machines, but squatting is good for all of us, especially after you get over 40. You should be squatting at least 3 days a week. You got to keep the leg strength because that's what holds up the body, the core. Because, once you get older, you start having falls, hip surgery, you may not make it out of there alive. Infections come in, right? So we got to keep our legs strong, all right? So Gemini risings, right? We talked about you with the bedroom, all that Taurus stuff, and the moon is there, right? And the moon will be there, Uranus and Mercury. So Taurus, Gemini risings, your dreams are going to be just kind of wild at this time. But the Aries party of Saturn and Neptune for Gemini is in your 11th house. So we're talking about groups, organizations, the internet, right? Older siblings, hopes, dreams, and wishes. Well, Saturn, Neptune, you got to be realistic. This is not an unrealistic dream. This is being a co-creator. Pluto trine the sun, Gemini risings, right? So we're talking about your first house to your ninth house. It may be time for Gemini risings to put in the discipline to connect with the right groups over the internet, but maybe start working on your book, right? What's your story? What do you need to transform and heal about your beliefs and philosophies? But with Saturn, Neptune in the 11th house, this is an opportunity to maybe take a spiritual class. Maybe you want to learn Reiki. Maybe you want to learn about Oracle and Tarot cards. Maybe you want to take astrology classes and learn about being a professional astrologer with me one-on-one or whatever, right? But this is the time where you have to realize you could even form a nonprofit, Gemini risings, right? Or be a part of an organization where you're like, I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm a Gemini rising and I'm going to bring some reality here. We can't just, do this and that or whatever without properly writing the grants. They have to be structured a certain way. With grant writing, right? You can't just write it how you want to. There are certain regulations and rules, right? Disciplines. So, those are the things for Gemini risings to think about. But also the 11th house is also long-term investments. It's our government. It's gold, right? So Gemini risings, hey, gold is really high in prices. We're talking about long-term investments. Maybe we start purchasing other precious metals like the silver, right? Bronze, copper. But get gold if you can afford it. And remember with the crypto, right? I told you Bitcoin would go down. It has. I'm not a big crypto guy, but I will tell you, it's going to become the mechanism worldwide. And it's, right? Apple already signed a deal with Ripple. XRP, XLM, and Ripple will be here to stay. There's other coins. I don't know all of them, but it's not going to be the Bitcoin. Okay. And you have to be careful. Pay attention. What does BlackRock invest in? Because they may make it go up to crash it. That's what these billionaires and billionaire companies do, right? They play games with the market, right? So then they can get out, crash it, right? Overinflate it, right? And then bet on it to fail. Put options, if you guys don't know these things, right? This is a lot of stuff that happened before 9/11, okay? With American Airlines and stuff like that. Always follow the money trail. The truth is with the money, okay? I'm just going to say that. So just be smart with things like that, Gemini risings, but definitely maybe a good time for some writing and having discipline, all right? Now, the Cancer risings, okay? Cancer risings, you're dealing with this in your 10th house. So there's definitely going to be an emphasis on your career, your public image, things with your dad. Be disciplined. The midheaven could be 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. I've never seen in the 12th. I told you Scotland in the 8th, but otherwise 9th, 10th, 11th. But the 10th house is always your public image, your legacy, workplace, work environment. So Cancer risings, hopefully you're not joining the military. I wouldn't advise it. But this could be a government job. But this could be where Cancer risings, you are following your heart and you're getting into a YouTube channel, the film industry. You're going to be a poet, a singer, a rapper, right? You're like, oh, I want to make my own independent film. I want to start and make a photography book, or I'm going to become a professional photographer. So Saturn conjunct Neptune in the 10th house can make you be a little bit more realistic and not so unrealistic and idealistic if you put in the hard work, right? You know, Aries in the 10th house, that's the ancients felt, right? That's where it's exalted, right? Between 12 and 2. So, like, kind of like exalted, Cancer, some felt it's the original authentic chart. So, put in the hard work and discipline, and I think there could be a lot of blessings there. And just know that you can't please everybody in your home. Cancer rising sometimes can have a hard time with the Libra fourth house in the home, and obviously with the Cancer rising, that Mars is there in the second house to help you to initiate different things. That throat chakra is going to be active. Watch the arguments in the cursing, Mars and Leo, second house for Cancer risings. And, you're definitely dealing with the 12th to 8th house trine with the Pluto and Sun. Okay. So a lot of things around your dreams, maybe ayahuasca, different things like that. But remember, I told you with Neptune and Aries, this is not the time for pharmaceuticals, drugs, alcohol. So I would not be playing around with Neptune and Aries at this time, even with Saturn there, playing around with any escapism. It can literally affect the head and make us delusional and not be the positive experience. So if you wanted to try the ayahuasca or microdosing, I would tend to wait to Neptune being back in a Pisces from October 22nd or 3rd, right, to February, because it goes back in, and it'll be in Aries to 2039. So I would try to get it in then. Now, depending on your personal chart, there are other placements where it's not as bad. But Neptune is escapism, it's addiction, it's the pharmaceuticals, it's alcohol, drugs. So when it's in Aries, it can literally, dissolve sort of consciousness in the cranium and make it not be so good. And this Saturn Neptune conjunction may increase allergies. This may be one of the worst allergy seasons. Even usually allergies start to dissipate right after May 24th. It may not this year. We had a very wonky, weird winter, right? Out here in Arizona, we didn't really have a winter. We had no frost. So I think it's going to be an extra hot summer. And it's the enemy year for Arizona, New Mexico, Vermont, and a couple other states. In terms of this being the year of the, oh God, what is this? Are we in Pig? I think we're in Pig this year. I can't remember now. Or you left dragon.
Snake, isn't it?
Right.
Oh, snake. Sorry,
Right.
snake. But I think the enemy of snake is those states: New Mexico, Arizona, Vermont. There were a couple others. So just be mindful of that. So that's why I'm thinking, oh my God, we may be on fire, 125 degrees this summer in Arizona. So, but that's a me problem, not you guys. But Leo risings, okay, we're dealing with the Aries in the ninth house, Saturn, Neptune. Hey, be realistic. Maybe, you aren't going to Egypt or Europe this summer. Maybe you're just making trips where you're like, hey, let's go to Florida. Let's go, maybe we can afford to go to Hawaii. You're going to the beach. But with Saturn, Neptune, this is where Leo risings may be thinking about, what, I want to go back to school in the fall. I'm going to take some online classes, or I'm going to go back and go get my master's, my doctorate, whatever. Or literally you're putting down and you're like, what, I'm starting my book this summer. Leo risings, it's time, right? Mars is there. Initiate your creativity from your heart chakra. Be brave and courageous, right? You're going to have that trine from the 11th to the 7th. Things can get better with sales and marketing, the older sibling, the spouse, okay? Healing, communication. But that Saturn, Neptune, and Venus, yeah, write the book. Venus, Ceres, Chiron. I mean, you got a story to tell, Leo risings. You're a lot deeper than people give you credit for, Leo rising, especially with that Pisces 8th house and the North Node still being there. Okay. So the Virgo risings. Well, Saturn, Neptune in your 8th house. I got one of these at home. Listen, Venus, Chiron, Saturn, Neptune in 8th house. The reality is you may have some very powerful dreams. You may get into seeing people who have passed over from the other side, right? My son may get some visits from his grandma. You know what I mean? Like you just don't know. The one thing I will tell you is that This is the opportunity to get really disciplined about your investigation and research of the esoteric and occult knowledge. This may be the one sign where you could say, you know what, I'm not going to do the ayahuasca or microdosing, but I will increase the sea moss, the ashwagandha, the silage, the burdock root, the spirulina, and the crystals. Saturn, Neptune, eighth house, what's hidden underground, not just the occult knowledge, it's the herbs, the crystals, the gems. Remember, gold's in 11th house. So Virgo risings, Saturn, Neptune there, you could also be like, you know what, I want to be a doula. I want to be a midwife, a death doula. This is the time to get into it. But this is where you could literally put in the hard work and discipline to become a numerologist, an astrologer, tarot card reader, human design practitioner, or just get those services. Because it may be that special karmic time to tap in and learn about soul contracts, learn about human design astrology, right? Virgo risings, Neptune and Saturn, they're going to be there really. This is a sneak preview this year, right? They're going to be there to 29 and 39. So get ready. Like, you know what I mean? And remember when I tell you guys, Saturn or Mars in eighth house, you, even though it's illegal, you got to pay your taxes, right? Until the laws and something really changes, you got Saturn or Mars in your eighth house, please pay your taxes on time and be disciplined, because Saturn and Mars can turn against you in the eighth house and be the government investigating you. The eighth house is also the letter boys, FBI, CIA, IRS. If you're married and you got Virgo rising, Saturn, Neptune here, there can be maybe some changes to your spouse's resources. Maybe this is where they decide they want to change how they investigate, right? A lot of people are like, oh my God, my 401k has been destroyed, all the stuff that Trump and Elon have done. So maybe you're moving some things around, okay? Maybe you're moving some finances around. You're talking to your partner, your husband, your wife, and you're like, we got to make some adjustments. This Saturn, Neptune, Virgo risings, guess what? It's time for your will and testament and your trust. Get it done. Don't delay it. Life insurance policies on your children. Highly recommend it. Okay? Just a little hint. It also would make Popo a little hesitant on, you know, pewing your kids. Life insurance policies on your children, people. Libra rising. Okay. Libra rising, you're going to have this in the seventh house of your relationships, the marketplace, contracts, negotiations. Slow down. You got to play like Brand Nubian. There should be no rush to signing contracts. The Neptune will make you be unrealistic and idealistic at this time, but the Saturn can make you very disciplined in any spiritual endeavors you're going to do. And this is the time to increase your spiritual practice with your husband or wife. All right, it's very important. And then you've got the fifth and ninth house trine. So this is good for your children, grandchildren, around education with Pluto and the Sun in that trine. It's really speaking to, healing some generational stuff, but also focusing on new ways of educating. Get with that chat GPT. Get with different free things they have in classes over the internet, right? We can learn coding over the internet for the kids for free. So Libra risings, but you got to just try to be more practical and realistic and slow down, not so impulsive in shopping, in business contracts, and things with your spouse and partner. You want to be like, hey, let's come together, right? Just made me think, come together, let's all join around and hold our hands, right now, whatever that song. But, it's really important, you know what I mean? But, Libra risings, you're also having that Jupiter stuff, right? And and the sun in the ninth house, right? So Libra risings, this is still a good time. Vacations, writing books, okay? So discipline in the partnerships, spiritual practices with the spouse, but also slow down with the contracts. Reread everything. That's very, very important. Okay.
When can we
And
sign contracts?
huh?
When can we sign contracts?
No, you can sign them now because we're done with the Mercury and the Venus retrograde. So,
Okay.
and Mercury is back in Pisces. I mean, in Aries. right? So, and Venus will get there soon. So everything is moving full steam ahead. April is the rest of April is going to go by super quick, and May, right? With all these planets direct. I forgot who goes retrograde next. Juno's retrograde, but that's not like a real, planet thing type thing. I think it may be Pluto that may go retrograde, but everybody's direct now. So, I mean, Taurus the rest of the Aries season is already over, right? Oh, by the way, the Aries birth chart ends tonight, Aries Sun Moon Risings. If you want to get a solar return, second hand progression, jump on it. Taurus starts tomorrow, Taurus Sun Moon Risings, okay? And that's either 206 or 305. So just reach out, Eric at BigEAstro.com. But I will say this in general, for the Libra risings, and that's you, Elizabeth, and I don't know if
Okay.
anybody else here, but for the collective, Saturn, Neptune there, just you've got to be disciplined and organized, right? Like bring out each paper, go through it. If you need to, take pictures, zoom it out so you can read the fine print. Sometimes things are so small. Like do your due diligence, because remember, Neptune is there to deceive us. Wherever Neptune's at, it doesn't necessarily mean to be, but it's a lot of pros, a lot of cons. Neptune is also disease, Pluto's virus. So Saturn, Neptune could create some sort of inflammation, right? That's why I'm saying cooling foods, more fruits, and a lot of allergies.
I'm going to go ahead and second that. Okay, as I'm putting on medicine on my face that has had some swelling, allergies, and
Yeah.
infection. So I'm like the perfect example. If you want to show me for an example, this is what can happen.
Well, that's
It's
the
a real
Neptune.
thing.
And so
Yeah.
when Saturn comes in, though, it is speaking to the discipline about everything, especially around the contracts and negotiations, okay? But we've got to Saturn always wants us to pause, be disciplined, structured, and organized. This is for all you ascendants. Obviously, it's in the marketplace and negotiations and business partnerships for the Libra rising. Now, Scorpio, your last but definitely not least. This is in your sixth house. So we're talking about the work, the health, the hygiene, daily routine, any pets. Saturn, Neptune, Venus, Chiron. Scorpio risings, make sure, Neptune and Aries is really also making us really realize, wait a minute, I got to check on my health, right? I got to lift weights. I got to, get my mind, body, head, all that right. With Saturn there, Saturn is like, listen, you got to slow down on your daily routine. Yeah, you want to be the brave, courageous leader, but you've got to be more realistic. Scorpio risings, already, Scorpio does rule the sinus canal. So Scorpio risings can tend to have sinus issues. I have them bigly. I mean, they got worse when I got valley fever in 2013, but I have bad sinuses. And so with Saturn and Neptune there, this is where I would say, especially for the Scorpio risings and the Aries risings, do the neti pot rinses. Even how Stephen shared with us, the honey helps the eyes and his sinuses. That's something for Aries and Scorpio risings to do. Stay away from the pharmaceuticals. You know what I mean? They're not always going to benefit you. We know that, but try to go the natural route. And I'm thinking a lot of with Saturn and Neptune and Venus. Venus doesn't like being in the sixth house. That's Mars's planetary joy and the mild malefic house. Remember, houses 3, 6, 10, and 11, you guys get better over time. And so the sixth house, Saturn and Mars do well there. So Saturn here will bring in a lot of discipline for Scorpio risings. So this will be really good. I've got to get back into, because when the North Node was there, I was like lifting weights 7 days a week. And I've kind of fallen off, right? I've just been doing sparingly 2-3 days. No, I got to get back into 7 days a week, squats, just lifting the weights, and Saturn, Neptune will help Scorpio risings with that. And then the Venus is like, hey, maybe Fridays you could cheat and have a little chocolate. You deserve your one cheat day, okay? And that's really thinking May 24th to November, okay? So, Scorpio risings, also just be mindful. This could be adopting a pet. I know for me personally, we lost my Goldie girl, my bitter dragon, and we're not getting any pets anytime soon. The kids want a dog. It's just not happening. But Saturn, Neptune, this is where your spiritual service to humanity is going to really be good for you. So that will be good in terms of things for me, in terms of what I do, but for all Scorpio risings, you've got to think about your service to humanity. Okay, the spiritual discipline is always going to help. And so, we've covered all rising signs. I just want to say this. Any questions at the end for everybody, I'll let you ask in a minute or two. But I want to just say for you guys, just be mindful with Saturn, Neptune for any house, any sign. I mean, I spoke very specifically for Scorpio and Aries in terms of allergies and stuff like that. But Saturn, Neptune can really affect you in any house in terms of allergies. But with Neptune being disease and Saturn being like chronic arthritis and it's your bones, it's your DNA, your lineage, definitely increase the water. I mean, goodness, it's going to be hotter out anyway. So fruits and water is really good starting May 24th, because you could be in the coldest state in America or in the world, and it's going to start to get hot. Obviously, as we get to our late spring and going into summer, right, for our friends down under in Australia, New Zealand, they're getting from autumn to winter. So there, it's going to start to get cooler for this transit. But needless to say, and I know, Murray, you're watching, needless to say, we still, Saturn conjunct Neptune, we want to make sure we're getting the proper hydration. Saturn is dryness. Aries is dry too. So we want to cool the body down, right? But for us in the Northern Hemisphere, it's springtime, right? We've got to move. Aries wants to move. So Saturn says slow down, but it's not telling you to not move. So we want to get out in nature. We want to integrate our different herbs and different remedies to deal with our allergies, but we've got to have the spiritual discipline. That's what Saturn in Pisces was asking about. Now Saturn is conjunct Neptune from May 24th to November. We've got to slow down. Aries doesn't want to sit around and do any mantras and, meditate for 30 minutes. That's crazy talk, right? Well, Saturn and Aries is saying, listen, Aries, for you to be brave and courageous, to assert yourself and initiate properly, and to be the pioneer maverick, I want you to slow down, not be impulsive, and be a little bit more disciplined and organized first. So that's going to be in all of the 12 houses, you guys. All right. So any quick questions? And just shoot them at me. You guys are good?
Big E, when's it gonna be? The November Saturn into Aries?
Yeah, man. I forgot the exact date. I think
Okay, no problem.
mid-November, but basically just think of it. You're like, hey, I got June, July, August, September, October. You got at least 5.5 months of this transit, so it's very important. So definitely take care of the sinuses for you. You're already doing that. You're ahead of the game. And Stevie, you got to definitely make sure really positive self-talk. Steven is a great husband, great father, great worker, great son, brother, all that good stuff. You got to like the positive self-talk and spiritual practice, the discipline, okay?
Thank you, B.
Yeah, man, you got it. And don't forget to send me that email. My aunt will think I'm a superhero, but I'll give you all the credit.
Sandy, you're right here. I put in the chat. You
Eric, I
got
have
him.
a question for you.
Yes, please.
I can't remember when my
Sorry.
Saturn is, but I think I have some time. Is there any significance between like being at a halfway point? Because I still feel like I'm going through something.
Honey, so you said you can't remember when what? Your Saturn what?
When my first Saturn, well, my last Saturn.
Okay, the first return was at 29.
Okay.
Okay, that's like between 28 and 29. So that's when Saturn was in Sag. So now, right, Saturn was just in the square in Pisces, right? So you're 34, 35.
I'll be 39. I'm 38. I'll be 39 in July.
Okay, so yeah, so you've already finished the square, right? It started back when 2.5 years ago. So then you should, after the square, you should have really integrated all the lessons And so now it's going to the trine in Aries. So this is a good time for you. You're going to love Saturn in Aries, right? And so this is where you're putting in more discipline and structures around your creativity, more discipline and structures and tapping into your past life karmas, right, in ancient history, right, the occult, esoteric knowledge, and then putting in, the positive disciplines and creativity with the kids, the fifth house, right? That's the first child for you. So, just think about that. Saturn and Aries conjunct Neptune and the Venus and Chiron are there. This is taking us to November. So, like I was saying to Stephen, the next 5.5 months, you want to have play. You want to hey, we got these great iPhones or the what's the other one? The what's the other service? Not the Apple, but the
Android, but we don't do that.
Androids, right? We got these Androids with the better cameras than iPhones. Whatever you have, right? You can like with the kids or yourself make little video stories, make little movies, right? Do you're great with the social media, do stuff like that. But be disciplined,
Okay.
right? Don't be impulsive. Don't be like, oh, it's Tuesday and I got to get out 3 videos, right? Well, what if you just have
I'm
one?
very that way. I'm like,
Okay.
oh, I feel like today, but then I'm rushing to do it,
Well, so what if you just have one kick butt video and you've got you take time and edit it, you know what I mean? Because I'm guilty of that, right? I'm more like, oh, I've got to produce. But, what if I'm just like, hey, you know what? I've got to just do 1 or 2 real high quality videos compared to 3 or 4, and the videos are not as elaborate or not as good quality. So that's what the fifth house, right? And that's your heart chakra. So that's the thing where you want to make sure you're implementing 30 minutes a day of joy and play for yourself and for the kiddos. Does that make sense?
that is really good. Thank you.
Yep. And remember the Neptune, that's the poetry, the art. Maybe you take a painting or a sculpting class, like honor what would light you up creatively, but just be disciplined about it. And then the Venus is there to support it. So like it could also be whatever you do could be fruitful. Venus is money. It's entertainment, but it's money, So
This is really good. And just quick thought, I never thought about pairing discipline with joy. Part of me wants to resist that. It feels too structured, and I feel like joy isn't supposed to be discipline, but I'm still wrapping my mind around
well,
that.
hey, here's an example, right? At 1:30, I'm gonna take a break and I'm gonna color, paint, or just go and dance and put on some music. So that's being disciplined in terms of scheduling it, but it's still making sure that you're scheduling joy, right? So because like for example, right, I tell you all the time, right, being the Cap Moon and this Virgo stellium and Scorpio rising, I'm a workaholic. So I'm in this chair all day, but I take a break to go meditate and pray and ground in earth and nature. But I've got to be more mindful to be like, wait a minute, I've got to like schedule 30 minutes of joy. The CEOs are not doing this for joke. It's because it's been scientifically proven and studied, right? So they're having their corporate, things, and they do these things because it's team building and it makes people more productive. If you don't activate your heart chakra, that's how we reflect back to God source energy. It's a very Leo, Pisces, Libra dynamic. We've got to have room for fun and joy and play. Even if we're doing it alone, or if we can do it with our spouse or children, even more better. So that's very Leo, Libra, Pisces, right? We got to activate the heart chakra. So yeah, it's okay to schedule it. And Saturn and Neptune are there telling you like, yeah, you'll be more productive with your creativity if you are disciplined about it. That's all.
Awesome. Thank you.
And discipline, don't ever think of discipline as a bad word because, discipline is also, right, disciple, right? It's like discipline is teaching us that when we have structure around it, when we're organized, that we can get and reap all these benefits and rewards from Saturn. Saturn really wants to reward you. It's just saying, listen, in Aries, you got to work that much harder. In Libra, it's like, it's exalted. So it's just like, and remember, Saturn's law and order. So in Aries, like, this is not the time to like run red lights. The police, oh, I forgot to mention that. From May to November, Popo will be giving out crazy tickets. Anybody acting a fool, and this is why, like, don't get caught up with the propaganda on the media, whatever. Don't be going out there and protesting nothing. Protest with your dollars. That's why I like the gentleman, the older Jewish gentleman, is 57 from the People's Union USA, right? He's been saying that. Protest with your money. These financial blackouts, right? No Amazon, no Target, no this one, no that one. We have to show the one percenters and billionaires that we have power with our intention and our dollars. Turn off the idiot box. If their ratings are low, right? Now you see, matter of fact, oh my God, Hulu, right? Disney, Hulu, ESPN, now they threw in HBO Max because people stopped messing with Disney with all their weird stuff. They've been doing demonic stuff and Satan and touching kids and all that stuff. People are like, F you, Disney. We want you to be more pure and more clean. So they've been losing so much money that now they're throwing in the bundle with HBO Max. Please come back to us, right? You see the power in that? So I want you guys to know our power is with our intention, our eyes, our energy, and our dollars. Don't go out in the street and protest nothing. That's foolishness. Especially not with this regime, because they will throw you into jail and you'll be in El Salvador. God help us. But do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm being for real. Like, so just think of it like that. But this is a good time. Now you're into the trine. So that Saturn, Sag, trining Saturn Aries, it's like, yeah, move your body and have some fun. Learn something but then teach it. Learn it, teach it. Okay? Anybody else? It's a good, it's going to be, listen, transits are transits. And this is just a sneak preview to get you ready for February when we have Saturn and Neptune going to Aries together. And that's going to be a lot longer. 5 months is nothing. So ride this wave. That's why I wanted to do this transit. And I'll do it again when it ingresses in February. I'll probably do that the last coffee talk of the year in December, right? And I'll do Saturn and Neptune together because that's going to be the long one that you got to get ready for. And that chart will be totally different because the alignments will be different. So, this is a practice run. 2025, you guys, is the coming attractions in the movie theater. This is a sneak preview. When the sugar honey iced tea really hits the fan, it's 2026. So that's why I've been telling everybody the real remedy is to get us to the human design prophecy of 2027, where we leave the solar plexus and as a collective, we vibrate from the heart chakra. The keys to success, right? Our souls picked this time to be here, so we're built for it, right? We've all survived COVID, 9/11, HIV, AIDS, all this crap, these wars, this BS, right? So now, you think it's easy going from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius, switching ages? You think it's easy to go from Pluto Capricorn to Pluto Aquarius? These outer planet alignments? This is why everything is so crazy. There are no accidents. It's acting like how it should be.